All right, we are live. Welcome, everybody. Today's show, I'm going to open up the same way I always open up. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Twitch, we're on Rumble. I think we're on Kick. We're not on TikTok yet. I will start going live on TikTok in the evenings. But if anybody wants to come on stage and join us, I'll have a segment for that today. There's a lot to get to. I have a lot of notes for today. And I want to make sure that I'm not just doing the show and sort of giving out hype and, pumping people up. And that's not why I'm here. Although I'd love to be a source of inspiration for some of you, or at least get some of you clarity. I think that's my main purpose. I'm here for people who feel stuck in a job or a situation that they can't stand. It doesn't have to be a job. It could just be any situation. Maybe you're not working and you can't stand that either. Maybe you're tired of trading your time for a paycheck, tired of building someone else's dream, tired of feeling like you don't have any real options. And I've been there before, and I built my way out of it with a simple business. And now my goal is to help you do the same thing. This isn't just about potentially starting a business. It's also about what the experience of being free does to you. I also think there's an element, and I've been talking about this, what entrepreneurship does to you too. And there's a lot more on that to come. But how you become a different kind of person with more confidence, more clarity, more decisiveness, more capabilities, and most of all, more resiliency. So you can create real financial freedom and real freedom over your time and your life. Do the things that you want to do. I want to be online doing this. I like live streaming. I like helping people. I like sharing my experiences. And it's noon on a Thursday, and here I am. I'm not in someone's office. I'm in my home studio. And I'm doing what I want to do. Why? Because I have a business that has afforded me this type of freedom. I'll even do a real-time check on today's revenue. I haven't touched a thing. I've got people running the business for me. I believe we have about 25 houses to 30 houses today to clean. Revenue will probably be somewhere between $5,000 and $6,000, maybe even $7,000. And here I am. And as we talk, revenue is coming in because I built the business with intention. And the intention was to build something that can run without me. And so that's what I preach, and that's what I practice, and that's what I help people with. I'll share some ideas, honest perspectives, and simple frameworks about mindset, sales, marketing, decision-making, and problem solving. The things you actually need to think and act like someone who can build their own future. Those are the components of that. And just as important as the tactics, I want this show to be a daily reminder that transformation is possible, that you're not crazy for wanting more, and you're not alone in this journey. And because real transformation always starts with a decision, we begin every show with the same question. If you don't change anything, if you keep doing exactly what you're doing, you will very likely be in the same place 5 years from now, feeling the same frustration, the same lack of control, and the same resentment toward your job or whatever your situation is that you don't like. But if you committed to transforming your life, like really committed, there's a real chance that in 5 years, you could be exactly where you want to be. So the real question is, what hurts more? Continuing to endure a job or the situation you hate? Maybe it's a dead end, or enduring the discomfort of pursuing freedom and building something of your own. So today's episode, the title of it is, how do you know if you really want to quit your job or move away from the situation that you're in? Self-awareness has to come first. So let me say something that's going to probably annoy a lot of people. Most people who quit their job don't quit because they found a better path, unfortunately. They quit because they hit a breaking point. And look, I get it. Some jobs are soul draining. Some bosses are totally toxic. Some workplaces feel like you're slowly getting smaller as a person. And if you're not working, maybe you're just bored out of your mind. But here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. If you quit from pain, you usually pick your next move from panic. I'll say that again. If you quit from pain, you usually pick your next move from panic. And panic makes it easy to, panic makes you easy to sell to. That's how people end up jumping into the first business opportunity that promises them relief. So today I want to give you something simple that can change the path of your whole life. A way to tell if you're running towards a real future or running away from discomfort. Because those two motivations look similar from the outside, but they produce completely different results. These are the two versions of I'm quitting. Version number one, I'm running away. This is I can't take it anymore version. And it usually sounds something like this. I just can't do this anymore. I hate my boss. I need out. Anything is better than this. And here's what's tricky. Those feelings are actually real. And I'm not saying you're weak. I'm not saying you should tolerate garbage. What I'm saying is this. Running away is an emotional decision. And emotional decisions create sloppy plans. So you quit and now you're free, but you're also scared. And when you're scared, you don't ask, what's the best move? You ask, what's the fastest move? And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I get asked this so much. And when someone approaches me and the first question out of their mouth or the first question in the chat is, how fast will it take me to make X amount of dollars? I already know that potentially this person probably isn't a good fit. And when you ask what's the fastest move, that's how people usually end up in some type of random franchise or a random Amazon thing or some type of agency, marketing agency thing, or a faceless YouTube channel or something in crypto. I'm just naming some of the trendy things that are happening right now. And you don't know, nobody ends up with it because it's the best fit, but because it feels like a lifeboat. All right, and here's version two when someone's running towards something. This one sounds different, right? It sounds like, I want to build X. I want to control my time. I want to learn how to build this thing. I want to create options for my future. This motivation has energy behind it, not just pain. And when you're running towards something, you plan differently. You think in steps. You test. You build proof. You create income before you create freedom. That was actually like a really key thing there. Hi, Kate. You create income before you create freedom. I'll get more on that later. Who else is with me here? Drop me a comment if you're with me. I want to make sure everybody can hear me and see me. I didn't get any notes from the mods, so I think we're good. I see this ballistic something rather. It looks like spam. And Kate Adkins says, hey, what's up, buddy? Hey, Kate. Thanks for joining us. I'll get back to what I was saying here. And I want to talk about when someone's moving away from something, but they actually have a plan and they think differently. They're thinking in steps and they're creating income before they're creating freedom. And that's what gives you a real shot. All right. That's what gives you the real shot. And here's the contrarian truth to all this. Your job might not be the main problem or whatever situation you're in if it's not a job. And I know that sounds crazy, but it may not be the main problem. Because your job has the boss and the rules and the meetings, the emails, the politics, the pressure. But hear me out. A lot of people quit their job thinking they're escaping stress, and then they start a business and realize something brutal. Stress doesn't disappear. It just changes forms. It changes forms. At a job, stress sounds something like, I'm going to get in trouble. I might get fired. Are they going to pass me over? In business, stress sounds like, am I going to get customers today? Am I going to make payroll? Am I going to disappoint people? Am I going to run out of money? Those are all normal things for a new business. So if your plan is, I'm quitting because I can't handle the pressure anymore, that's a red flag. Because business doesn't remove pressure, it puts pressure in your hands. Here's the even more contrarian part. Sometimes the best move is using your job as the thing that funds your escape route. That's what I did. I didn't leave my job until the business was up and running. I took the money, all the money that I got from my job that I otherwise would have saved Not the money that I paid my bills with, I paid my bills, but the money that I would have saved, I took that and I funded my other business, which is now my full-time business that not only replaced the income of my job, but exceeded it, vastly exceeded it. So sometimes the best move is not quitting. Sometimes the best move is using your job as the thing that funds your escape route. Because your job can sort of be your investor. It can pay your bills while you build the runway. And I talked about runway a bunch here. It can buy you time to test your idea with much less risk. The whole idea here is to get to the life that you want or the business that you want, but to de-risk it, to take the risk out so you don't have to have so much stress. Because at the end of the day, stress is what kills everybody. A job becomes dangerous when you treat it like a prison, because a job becomes powerful when you treat it like a tool. So the question isn't just, do I hate my job? The question is, am I thinking clearly, or am I just trying to stop the pain? You have to delineate there. And here's a question. If you have a pen and paper, I want you to write this down. Not mentally, but like physically write it down. If my job magically got 20% better tomorrow, would I still want to leave? It kind of makes it real. If tomorrow your boss backed off a little bit, you got a little bit more respect, the schedule got a little easier, you got a raise, you felt slightly less dread on Sunday night. If it got 20% better, not perfect, just better, would you still want to leave? And if the answer is yes, that's usually a good sign. Because it means that you're not leaving only because you're miserable. You're leaving because you want something different. It means you're being pulled by your future, not pushed by your pain. There's a big difference. That's what running towards something looks like. And if your answer is no, that's a dangerous sign. Because it means that if the pain went down, your desire to build would disappear. And that tells you something important. You don't actually want business, you want relief. And if you don't know that about yourself, you'll make bad choices. You'll choose based on what feels like relief today instead of what actually creates real options later. Let me slow this down and make it painfully clear. Pain creates urgency. Urgency creates bad deals. When you're desperate to leave, you don't negotiate well. You'll accept lower pay. You'll accept higher risk. You'll accept vague promises. You'll accept trust me marketing, because you're not shopping for the best path. You're shopping for the fastest exit. And the world is full of people who are ready to sell you a fast exit. When you're running away, you confuse movement with progress. This is huge. Quitting feels like progress. Starting something feels like progress. I can't tell you how many people that I work with that say, I'm off to a great start. I have a ton of momentum. Things are going really well. And then I say, well, how many customers do you have? And they say, oh, none. I'm like, well, how much revenue have you brought in? None yet. But I got my LLC. I got a business bank account. I got an EIN number. I got my insurance. Those are just activities. That has nothing to do with really starting a business. You actually haven't started doing business until somebody pays you for your goods or your services. So progress can be, what feels like progress can be deceiving. Even buying a course might feel like progress. Making a logo, something like that. But none of that is progress if customers don't exist. So running away often leads to busy, not getting paid. Here's another thought. When you're running towards, you can handle boredom. This is the part people don't expect. Building something real has boring parts. Following up with leads, sending quotes, fixing your offer, improving your scripts, doing the reps. Just like anything in life you want to get better at, just doing the reps. Hearing no. Waking up and doing it all over again tomorrow. If you're running away, you'll hate this. You'll think, this is not what I signed up for. If you're running toward, you expect the reps because you're building for a reason. Do you guys remember? Well, I mean, I don't even remember. I'm too young, but when the Wright brothers built the first plane and got it up in the air, they were sort of in this race against the government. And the government had a lot more money. The government had a lot more funding, and the government had a lot more technology. But they lost to the Wright brothers. Why? Because the Wright brothers were building the plane and trying to get it off the ground because it was their passion. The government hired a bunch of smart people to try to figure it out, but they weren't driven by getting the plane in the air, and the Wright brothers were. And that's why they got it up first against all odds. So if you're running toward, you expect the same, you expect the reps, but you're building for a reason. Most people aren't afraid of work. They're afraid of uncertainty. Hi, Lindsay. Hey, Rick. If this makes sense to you guys, let me know if you understand what I'm talking about. And Kate Adkins, I'm doing great. Thank you. Kate, you're welcome to come up on stage if you want and hang out. But I'm almost done here sharing my thoughts, and then I'll open it up. Most people aren't afraid of the work. They're afraid of the uncertainty. At a job, you know what to do. You show up, you do tasks, and you get paid. In business, you can do a lot and get nothing back for a while. At least sometimes it feels like you're getting nothing back, but usually you are. And that gap is where people break. So if you're quitting to escape discomfort, business is just going to introduce you to a new discomfort, and that discomfort is going to be uncertainty. I can save you the trouble. If you're here and you're watching this and you're motivated to do something and you're not prepared for a bunch of uncertainty and you having to become creative and solve problems, then don't go. I can save you the time right now. Business will definitely introduce you to a new discomfort, and that new discomfort will be complete uncertainty. The goal isn't quitting, the goal is control. This is where people mess up the entire mission. They obsess over quitting like it's the finish line, but quitting is not the finish line. Quitting is a side effect. The real finish line is something you can create. You can create customers. You can create real value. You can create income. You can repeat it. You can survive a bad week. You can handle your own emotions. All these things. If you could do that, quitting becomes obvious. But if you can't do that, quitting becomes a gamble. You can leave from clarity or desperation, but the results look different. When you leave from desperation, you rush typically, you copy other people, you skip steps, you choose the first thing that feels good. You tend to avoid conversations that are hard. You tend to avoid things that are boring, and you expect fast relief. When you leave from clarity, you test first, you build proof, you build skills, you build a plan, you build a runway. You become hard to break. That's the difference. And it's not motivational, it's mechanical. Any questions? Thank you, Kate. I appreciate that. Any questions in the chat? Would anybody like to come up? If you do, if we could put it up on there, you have to DM me on Instagram at John Margalite. You can come up. You can share an update with me. We can talk about whatever you want. Hopefully, I'll be able to give you a little bit of clarity. And we'll have something maybe to pull a lesson out of for the audience. I see we have a few people with us. Rick, would you like to come up? You said sure. If you would, just send a DM and the mod will shoot you a code so you can come up. You were up here last time, so you know how it works. Would love to hear an update. If you've got one, anything new. Kate, if you want to come up and discuss something, you're welcome to. If anybody's watching that's in my private group and they have questions and they want to come up either about a cleaning business or about anything, you're welcome to do so as well. I wrote down a few sort of talking points. And so I'm going to go through some of them. But again, at John Margalite. And also, I want to mention without forgetting that I have a free PDF that I put together with the hope that it would give you clarity. And I did a little bit of breakdown of why most businesses fail before they ever make any money. Okay, great. Rick sent a DM. Taj, please get him up on stage if you can. But I put together that free PDF, and it shows you why most businesses fail before they ever make any money. And I think it's really helpful. It's free. You can download it. And if you want that, shoot me a DM on Instagram. Shoot me a DM with the word why, 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 and I'll send it over to you. All right. All right. Let's see here. Let's see what else while we await Rick coming on stage. All right. I have questions for you guys. I have a question. When you think about quitting, what do you feel first? Excitement or relief? That's an interesting one. Anybody have an answer to that? When you think about quitting, or you had quit, what'd you think about first, or what'd you feel first? Excitement or relief? That's an interesting one. Any responses to that in the audience? Another good question is, if your job got 20% better tomorrow, would you still leave? Yes or no? I'm curious if you would type your answers for me. If you're on another platform and you can't type in answers, that's fine. Most of you probably can only do that through YouTube. That's our main platform. What is the real thing you want? More money, more time, more respect, or more control? Or do you want a combination thereof? Here comes Rick to the stage. Oh, he was on, now he's back. All right, Rick, you got an update for us? Rick, can you hear me? Oh, can you hear me, Rick?
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Do you have an update for us?
I do. If you remember, this was about the small cleaning company that I was making an offer on, and so far, she and I are pretty far apart.
Okay.
And she's kind of holding tight to her price and terms, and I had offered her the $75K, and to give you a quick analogy of that, and I'd like your input on this, is that's about $2,000 per client. She's got 75 recurring clients, and that just sounds like a pretty high price for 75 clients. Now, I know there's a little bit more, obviously there's systems and whatnot, but she's only been open 2 years, and it just seems like it's a pretty high cost, customer acquisition cost.
Remind us, what's the asking price?
140.
And your offer was 75.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's about 1 year. It's a little more than 1 years of NOI.
Okay.
She can prove about 50, but it's probably closer to 60. So.
All right. And for those of you not familiar, NOI means net operating income. So it's what the owner of the business actually takes home. But that doesn't include taxes, right? So they would take taxes out of the net operating income. So it's probably it's a little bit less. But let's analyze this. So he's looking at a deal. He's not working at a job anywhere. He's using some money that he has built up over time, and he's looking to buy an asset that has potential recurring revenue. And he's looking at a cleaning business, in this case, a remote operation where she's running it from home, I would guess. And
correct.
Do you know, does she have 1099s or W-2s? A lot of people ask that question.
Yeah, she transitioned. She started with the 1099s and transitioned to W-2s. I think more for just control and just she's in a smaller market, so I think she was a little worried about losing some to either their clients or to a competitor. So I didn't question her too greatly about it, only because I just wanted to know if it was one or the other, and she confirmed that they're W-2s today.
Yeah, and I mean, there's no reason to, it's fine either way. Yeah. I went the exact opposite way. I started as W-2 because I wanted more control, and then I figured out some systems that allowed me to still maintain enough control to get consistent quality, and then I was able to cut out the payroll tax and not have to worry about actually having employees.
Right.
let's
she
talk about
runs her cost though for the labor is about 60%. It's 58 to 62, and that includes probably everything included. But that's on her P&L. That's what she's showing. Now I didn't get into any due diligence, so I don't know what else is included. But
so her labor costs are 60%.
yeah,
Wow. See, mine are about 45.
yeah. See, and some of it could be scale. I don't know. She's doing 350 or so a year in gross.
Okay.
Has two crews. So
Yep, and that's why her net is very low, and that's because her labor expenses is high. In my opinion here, I think that your offer is about right. I think that that's what the business is really worth.
yeah.
And I think that, do you know a breakdown of what percentage of the cleaning is residential versus either commercial or short-term rental?
I think 90% of it's residential. There are some offices that she might do in the weekends that are, like a Sunday afternoon kind of a thing that she's doing. She's not promoting commercial in the sense of, doing the work at night. And she does have some Airbnb because we're in a coastal community. So there are quite a bit of Airbnbs and other types of properties that are geared toward that crowd.
Did she list the business with a business broker that you got in touch with, or did she just list it on bizbuysell.com?
She had it with a broker, and now she's got it herself.
Okay.
And she didn't change the price, and that was a problem. But to me, the big thing was it is dependent on her, which is again, the negatives I saw was it's dependent on her. It's only 2 years old. So it's not like she has a huge history or the name means a lot to the community. A competitor in the same market sold about 6 months ago for half that price, or what I offered, about half the price, which is why
that's about the worth.
I kind of thought what the value of the business was.
And I want to say something here. The value of a business in the business owner's mind is always much higher than it actually really is, because they put in all this work, all this blood, sweat, and tears. And then to them, they always think that the business is worth much more than usually what they get, especially for a business that's not secured by any contracts. And so what happens is that the buyer and the seller go through this valuation process. And if you get a business broker, the business broker tends to underwrite things for you, and they'll take you through this this analysis, and they'll hire a third party or somebody in-house will go through all your profit and loss statements and your balance sheet and figure out how much your business is worth. And then the only way to really come to a real valuation is the most that somebody will pay. At the end of the day, that's what it is. So the fact that she has listed the business at 160 or 150 and you're coming in at 75 makes a lot of sense. And usually if people want to get out bad enough at some point, or they're getting old and they're retiring or whatever's happening, then someone like Rick ends up getting the business at the price that he wants. Does that sound about right?
Yeah. And again, I go back to the 2,000 issue per client. If I wanted to give free cleaning for a year, right, that's about 75 clients or 70 or so. So I was like, boy, I could do that all on my own. I don't have to worry about her systems and read, because there are some things in her system stack that I'm not crazy about who she's using for vendors. That's a personal issue. But I just think in general, that was my big hang up, was overpaying per client on the back end, knowing that I could buy a client for $500 or some other, creative marketing idea, do free cleaning for 6 months, whatever. And I could jumpstart it and get pretty much up to her level in that market.
Where did you leave off with her now? So she knows your offer. What did she say? Like, how'd you guys end the last conversation?
She says, I'm having conversations at higher levels, and I didn't offer her a payment. I offered her a payment plan because I knew that she's critical in the transition to her. She's a big part of the community, which is a area that has a couple of large master plan communities. I didn't want any bad, if you give someone cash, they walk, and all of a sudden now they're out bad mouthing you or trying to compete with you. It's just a safer, cleaner, it's a little safer to be able to keep them, wanting to promote your business to make it successful. So.
Sure, that makes sense. So where did you leave off with her? Did she say she
So
was
that's where
thinking
it's
about
left.
it?
I'm the one that hasn't gotten back to her, and I don't think I will. I'll let her sit over the weekend and see what happens. You know,
Yep.
yeah, I'm not going to overpay. I much rather start it from scratch, and as I say, come up with, you know, the money to do a free, you know. So one of the other things I get into a little bit is some marketing ideas around Hormozy, that you
Yeah,
wrote
of
the book.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
You know, how do you come up with some offers in the first 6 months that, you know, make it irrefutable for them to refuse your offer? And so free cleaning seems to be something that I kind of got hung up on a little bit, but that's a different conversation. So I didn't want to dive into that, but
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay.
that really, to your point, you know, I know you've talked, I think yesterday about, you know, I think you may have had an offer in yours, you know, the value over there it is. Yeah. The $100
There
million
it is.
offers. And
$100 million offers. I have the book.
He's got $100 million businesses now or something. He's got a third book out now.
Yeah.
But
He's down the street from me. I know.
okay. So your business is, you know, almost a decade old. You've got clients, you got processes, you got systems, you know, so it's like to anyone listening or listening later, it's a completely different scenario than a 2-year-old virgin business that may not have the same characteristics, you know, because it's a nice business. It's just a little business in a small town.
So let me shed some light on this. If anybody's listening and they're interested in maybe buying a business versus starting one, let me give you just a quick tip. And for Rick, this is for you. Where the real value is. Sometimes it's goodwill, meaning that, you know, just a ton of people in the area know the brand and everybody thinks it's great. In 2 years, it's very hard to build goodwill to the point where it would actually affect the multiple. What really matters is the raw data of organic traffic that's coming to her website without ads, and the number of people that are calling from the Google business profile. You can see that. You can identify that. And so if I'm looking at this type of business, if I'm looking at any type of local service business, I'm asking myself, if I don't spend 1 penny on ads, how many people are going to call the business every day to book? And that is valuable. And so that's the first thing that I did when I started this business. Again, I think I mentioned this a couple of times. There are people that buy businesses to hold them. It's like their baby, or they build them. I look at those people and think they're more artists. I build businesses to sell them or to create a cash cow. I'm not an artist. I don't have any desire to be
Right.
that type of business owner. But my point is that when I first started my business, I did everything I could to establish different channels that were driving in organic traffic. Because when I go to sell the business, I want to tell the prospective buyers that no matter what they do on day one, the phone's going to ring 38 times tomorrow with no advertising. You're going to get a bunch of calls and people are going to want to book.
Right.
And so I would dig into that and see if that's something that that you can show. Let me see if I can show you mine real quick. You want me to just jump in here and I'll give you an example?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, great. And this is for the people that are viewing too. This is a real example here. I'll just go ahead and show you in real time what's going on with my business and how I would evaluate someone else's cleaning business. And I would do this exercise that I'm about to show you right now. And if I can't...
And the other thing on your business too versus hers is, for a buyer, your business is financeable. I can go to a bank or go to the SBA and acquire a loan to acquire the business.
Yes, you can.
Versus it has to be at least 5 years, but hers is not financeable, except except a seller finance.
That's right. Yes. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Let me know if you can see it. If you can see my screen here, it's my Gmail. Can you guys see that?
It's coming up small.
Okay. Small. Let me see if I can make it bigger.
I'm on the screen with you, so I don't
All
what
right.
it looks like on YouTube.
All right. Can everybody else see my screen here? I'm going to go into my Google business account. Can you all see this? Can somebody drop me a comment just so I know? Can the mod tell me? Can you guys see this? Somebody leave me a message and tell me if you can see my computer screen here. I'm going to show you a couple of things. Can everybody see? I just want to get one confirmation here in the chat so I know that people can see.
It's on there. I
Let's
don't know how
see.
big it
I've
is.
got the mod. Yes, make it full screen. Okay, you got it. All right, so I'm making it full screen, although I have a wide screen, so it's probably going to come up a little bit weird. But here's what I wanted to show you guys. In every Google business profile that's listed, there is a performance tab, and the performance tab will give you real data on what's happening organically, meaning everybody that comes to the website that is doing it without coming from an advertisement. So meaning that you're spending $0 to get these people to you. If you press the performance button, then you can see here the traffic, and there's data on this. All right. So if I look at calls and I want to look at what happened last month, so I want to look at January, which was probably a slow month. And here you can see. So there were 70. Now, this isn't the amount of phone calls that I got, but I got 74 free phone calls, which is down 20%. January is usually the slowest month of the year. But without any advertisements, I got 74 new people. So that's a little more than 2 calls per day, maybe 2.5 calls from new people every day to my business with no ads. And that number's low. If we look at December, the month before, you're looking at, okay, so it looks like December was the same. That's weird. November, how was November? All right, much higher. That's about right. So during the holiday and at the beginning of January, we slow down. Since then, it's picked back up. But you see here, 95 calls, almost damn near 100 new clients called from no advertising. That's the power of a good Google business profile. Now, this is just the Google profile that they called from. If I want to know how many actual unique came in, then I can look at the performance, which I will show you what that looks like now. I can look at the total ad performance. Let me go to the Discord server here, and I'll just show you guys some real data. In the meantime, I will take a look here. I'll go to, let's see. Let's see how we're doing today. We're going to log in, and then I'm going to show you guys what to look for in this valuation process. When you're looking at a local service business, you want to look at the Google business profile. You want to look, the 94 calls that I just showed you, those are click to call, meaning they clicked right from the Google business profile right here on the right side of my screen where it says call, right here where it says call. That's 94 calls from that button right there. But looking at today and today only, let's look at today's revenue report. It's about 1240 going on 1245 here. And let's see how many transactions we have today and for how much money. I haven't touched a thing. And again, this is not to flex. This is just to show you what's possible. Today is, nope, we're not in December. We're in February 12th. And how come I can't see anything? Whoops, February 12th. There we go. Let's filter. And today we've got $2,200 in, and it's about 1240. Pretty slow day so far. But again, for not touching anything and having people run the entire operation, not bad. Not bad. Now let's take a look at the Discord server because I posted it when I got the results. I'll take you to them now. We have a very active community online, as you can see here. And you can see here are the results. So I had 204 clicks and I had almost 36,000 impressions just for free. All right. I can show you. I'm sorry, that was Prime. That's one of my students. This one's mine, Happy Home Helpers. I was going to say that's pretty low. I had 486 clicks to my website and I had 661,000 impressions without spending a dime. All right.
So
This is my
that 486, John, is
Yep.
that's free, but that's coming from someone typed in and said, "Hey, I'm looking for a cleaner in Las Vegas."
They typed in any type of keyword phrase that was best cleaning service in Las Vegas, cleaning service near me, whatever.
And then they saw your listing and clicked it. So you
That's
didn't
correct.
pay. Okay, gotcha. I just wanted to be sure I understood.
Yep, these are clicks that came from search that weren't
That's a
ads.
lot.
That's a lot. Yeah. I have almost 500 visits to my website every month from people that I don't pay to get them there. That's what you want to build. If you want to build a business you can sell from day one, you need to establish all of the organic traffic sources. And it's not that hard. It's not that difficult. It just takes a little work. All right. And by the way, the book that he was referencing, this is Alex Hormozy's $100 million offer. It is a good book. He has 3 in the series. It's a very good book. But I wouldn't get too hung up on creating an offer that people can't refuse. I think there's a level to it that's important, but I wouldn't go off the deep end with it. I think that's not for the beginning of when you take over the business. That's sort of like phase 2 or 3 when you really want to ramp up. But I mean, here, look, even one of my students who's been in business for 16 months, he's got 204 and 36,000. I mean, he's doing fantastic. He's in the UK. All right. So there you can see those things that are going on. Now, if I look at her business and I see that she's got 30 clicks every day that are coming for her website, then that's not that great. It's okay.
Gotcha.
It's one person calling every day because they're finding her organically. Is that worth 75,000? Might probably be a little bit lower.
Okay.
So if you are looking to prove what the real value of the business is, number 1, she doesn't have any contracts. And number 2, she's only been around for 2 years. So there's not that much time to build the goodwill. And number 3, let's see her organic traffic. If it's high and it's strong, great. The value is being supported. But if it's not, then it's not worth nearly as much as she thinks it is. Is that helpful?
Very.
Okay, great.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Any questions on that? I want to go back to the comments here. Any questions? I just basically gave you guys business valuation 101 and even more specifically, local business valuation. In different industries, it works a little bit differently. But for a business that doesn't have contracts where you're essentially buying their customer base, their systems, their processes, maybe key employees that they have that are probably going to stay a long time, that are really good at running the business. If someone were to come and buy my business, I would point to not so much the goodwill, even though we do have the best ratings and reviews online in the city. It's definitely something. We've been named by City Hall best in Las Vegas. But more importantly, I would point to how many people come to my website every day and book without me touching anything. And then I would point to the 6 or 7 people that run my business remotely on the island of St. Lucia. They make about $6 to $7 an hour. Some are up to 10 now because they're fantastic. And I'm talking to you guys and the business is making money. That's what I would point to. So also try to uncover how much of it she has to spend time on versus how much of the business runs purely on systems. All right.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions, Rick? This has been a very good segment. Viewership went up while we were talking, and people are always interested in how to buy a business. Cody Sanchez talks about it a lot, but she has these really pie in the sky sort of buy a car wash or buy a laundromat. And it's cool. Those are great businesses, but who the hell has enough money or credit to buy a car wash? Right. Anyway, Rick, any other questions before we end this segment?
No, I'll give some other people some chance. I do have some thoughts on the model you talked about yesterday, licensing versus, different things. I got a couple of ideas I can share over time or send you an email. But either way, I appreciate today.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming up.
Okay.
Very valuable for the viewers to hear in real time how someone like Rick finds a business. He found it on a website called Biz Buy Sell. It's where all the businesses are listed. And you can go on bizbuysell.com. You can find all the listings. You can call them. Sometimes they're listed by the seller. Sometimes they're listed by a business broker that the seller has engaged with. Typically, you sign a contract, the business broker wants about 10% of the sale. So if you sell for $500,000, the business broker gets $50,000. It's kind of like selling a home, but the commission is a lot higher. And I think a home is probably a lot easier to sell than a business. A business, the average time to sell it probably takes longer, although businesses that have very solid income and very, very clean books and records that they could show to prove things, if they're in the right industry, they can get sold pretty fast. Right now, home services are a big deal. Home services are on fire. Private equity is coming in and they're buying it up. HVAC, plumbing, cleaning, pool routes are worth a fortune, lawn care. And you can get into these businesses and you don't have to be the one doing the labor. In fact, if you are, it wouldn't work. But you can come in, you can run it remotely from your home office or wherever you want, and you can be effective and you could make a lot of money while other people are actually doing the physical work. And it's not that you don't have to do any work. It's just that you're more of an oversight person than you are a day-to-day task doer. And that's where I think most people want to be. Right now, I can go in and run that report that I just showed you and see that we have about $2,500 today in new revenue, just in credit card transactions. I don't know what came in on Zelle or checks that people wrote, but again, it's not bad for me not having to lift a finger or pay attention to it. I can run a report online from my laptop while I'm talking to you guys, and I can see how we're doing. So with that in mind, any other questions? This was a really good show. Rick had been up before and introduced us to the business that he wanted to buy, and it opened up this really fascinating discussion about how to value the business, whether or not it was worth the money, what's better, buying a business or starting one. I think the answer to that question for anybody that's wondering is definitely buying if it has the right tools and the right components that I just covered. If it has very good organic traffic to the site, if it gets a lot of inbound calls or leads or jobs from outside of advertising, that's a great sign. But also be cautious because you want to see some proof on the advertising side too. Because your greatest move coming in is scaling whatever advertising is working. That's the most leverage that you're going to have. So if you're coming in to an unproven ad model within the business, well, then your cash is going to become the guinea pig. I don't like that. The entire risk of starting your own business is that you haven't proved out a customer acquisition model yet. That's the entire risk. That's basically it. So the whole idea of buying a business would be to forego that or surpass that without having to put any money or heartache or sweat or tears into it. Right? So if you can find that and you can validate it, then it's definitely worth paying for. And a lot of sellers will take seller financing. A lot of sellers will allow you to put a little bit of money down and they will carry the note as instead of a bank or a private loan. They'll be the lender and they will make an agreement with you based on whatever rate of return that you're going to give them. And a lot of the times it's advantageous. A lot of the time it gives them incentive to stay to make sure that the transition is smooth. So there's very, very clever ways that you can do this. The most buying power you'll have is with cash, like in anything else, obviously. All right, couple more notes and we'll wrap up today. If anybody has any questions, let me know. If anybody wants to come on stage, at John Margalite on Instagram. We're coming to you live on every platform, every day, Monday through Friday at noon. And I come up, I'm answering any questions you have people on stage. I've got a few more talking points that I wrote here. What's the one thing about your job or the situation that you're in that you might be blaming that you still have to face in a business? Think about that. If there's one thing that you hate about your job or the situation that you're in, make sure you ask yourself, are you going to be facing the same thing in your business that you're going to buy or start? That's a really important question. All right. And then lastly, are you willing to do boring things over and over again for the first 6 months? All right. And ask yourself, are you willing to do that for 6 months if it buys you options for the next 10 years? But there's a lot of boring work that you have to do. You just got to get it done. All right. All right. Let me land this in a way that you'll remember. Your job is definitely not a jail cell. It's a platform. A platform can feel miserable, but it can still be used. So if you're leaving your job or whatever situation you're in because you're in pain, I'm not judging you. I'm telling you this to protect you. Because pain makes people sprint into traps. So before you quit, do this. Write the question down. If my job magically got 20% better tomorrow, would I still want to leave? And if your answer is yes, good. Now you're talking about a future you actually want. That means you're ready for the next step. Building something on the side, testing it, proving it, and earning your way out. If your answer is no, it's also good because you know the truth. You don't need a business yet. You need clarity. You need to lower the noise. You need to stop making life decisions from a place of I can't breathe. Because here's what I know. You can quit your job from a place of clarity or from desperation, and the results look very different. Desperation says, get me out, and clarity says, build me a door. And the door is built with proof. One customer, one offer, one repeatable way to create money without begging a boss for it. So here's my final question for you today. Are you trying to escape or are you trying to build? Because escape is a moment. Build is a skill. And if you build the skill, you don't just leave one job. You gain the ability to create options for the rest of your life. Any comments? Any questions? I'm going to wrap up. I do want to ask something. I call this segment, okay, you're ready. Now what? Let's assume you answered the question honestly. If my job magically got 20% better tomorrow, would I still want to leave? And your answer was yes. That's not relief talking. That's direction talking. Good. Now we need to shift gears because here's another contrarian truth. Wanting to leave is not the same as being ready to leave. Read that twice. Listen to that twice. Wanting to leave is not the same thing as being ready to leave. Desire is emotional. Readiness is structural. You don't need to leave because you feel brave. You leave because you feel that you've built enough proof. If you're serious, truly serious about leaving whatever situation you're in the right way, then your job just became your investor, not your enemy. If you're ready, your focus shifts from how can I get out to how can I prove I can create income without this place. That's a completely different energy. Because here's what actually determines readiness. Can you get customers? Can you deliver some sort of value? Can you get paid? Can you repeat it? And can you survive any inconsistencies or lulls? That's it. That's when you know. Not branding, not logos, not business cards, not a course, not a podcast, not an LLC, and certainly not a cool web design. Customers. The only thing that makes quitting smart is proof. And proof is built in the dark. while you're still employed. Let me break it down logically. You can generate $1,000 on this side. You can generate $3,000. If you can generate $3,000 consistently, then maybe you can generate $6,000. And if you can generate $6,000 consistently, now we're having a serious conversation. But if you haven't generated $1,000 yet, you're not ready to quit. Not because you're incapable, because you haven't validated the machine. Business is not a belief game, it's a repetition game. And if you want control over your life, you must prove that you can create income on demand. Not hope for it, create it. Hope everyone enjoyed today. Last call for questions. I'm just trying to give you clarity. And I'm trying to help you understand whether it's time for leaving, whether it's time to prove something, and to make sure that you're leaving for the right reasons and taking action that can actually make your life better. We're coming up on the hour mark here. I always enjoy being with you guys. I enjoy sharing. I try to prepare for the show. I try to write down some thoughts that I have. I love when guests come up and share with me. Rick has a real situation where he's trying to buy a business from. And people usually have the same questions. It's usually things that everybody wants to hear. So I really appreciate when someone's brave enough to come up and share because it benefits all. That's it for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Tomorrow I'll be back at noon, live on YouTube, Twitch, Kick, Rumble, all the platforms except TikTok. I'll be on Instagram. I'll be on Facebook. And I'll see you tomorrow at noon. Thanks so much.